All right, YouTube's good to go. All right, guys. Looks like people are still rolling in. So we have, about I think 20 people in here right now. So usually it's about like 40 and up. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. I know a lot of you guys put them in the chat, but I miss the questions a lot once you get once the chat gets flooded. So if you guys have any questions, if you guys want me to look at anything or cover any topics, feel free to drop them in the Q&A, and then we can get started. Otherwise, I'm just going to be looking at the charts. Meanwhile, Felix said hello. Felix is here. All right, let's see. So James said, cool, but that'll work. Oh man, James, it's a long drive. How long is that drive for you? So are you coming from Louisiana, or you heading out there? All right, Felix wants to check out EU. I think it's the same analysis as before, but let's check it out again. I still have it right here lined up. So this is the same thing that I drew for you a little bit earlier. I was anticipating price to eventually go on upwards. Reason for that is because we have a buy momentum signal right here. So as you can see, price came up, it broke this zone, and then it shot to the next zone. This is how our zone trading strategy works. What I'm anticipating now is I'm anticipating price to either come up, break the zone and shoot on upwards, or come down, test the support, and then shoot on upwards. So technically, I'm only looking for buys at this point. If we do get a sell signal, then maybe I'm going to look for some sells. But meanwhile, I'm only going with the direction of momentum. So the momentum is going upwards, and it's stuck within the zone. So depending on how price moves within the next couple hours, it's probably not going to move too much because we're just entering Tokyo session. So price is going to be slow from now until London session. So we have a lot of time. We have like 7 hours, or even more actually, 8 hours until London opens. So if you're looking to trade your USD, it's probably going to range within the zone. I probably wouldn't take anything right now. If we go on the lower time frames, it looks like we have it's an invalid buy signal. So what might happen is like what I was saying, because we have a buy signal right here, the next signal is going to be a sell signal. And as you can see right here, following a sell signal, it pushed down. Also, after we got the sell signal, it didn't push down fully to test the support. So what I'm anticipating is once we have another sell signal right here, it's going to come down, test this support, and then it's going to shoot on back up. Since we're on the 30-minute chart, it's going to take some time. So let's see. What time does London open? London is going to open around this time. So we have this time frame for it to either pull back and shoot on up, or it might just shoot on up from here. So until you have a catalyst giving you an idea in the direction of price, then I'd probably hold off on it. Meanwhile, let's see. Oh, James said it's not. Oh, 360. Dang. Yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a drive for you then. Let's see. Felix has another question. Felix wants to check out GBP USD. GBP USD usually moves same direction as your USD, so it's probably gonna look pretty similar. Or no, it's looking a little different. So right now we have a sell signal. So momentum's only going down right now. But as you can see, it's stuck inside the zone. So I wouldn't take any sell entries until price breaks below the zone. Once price breaks below the zone, then we can anticipate something like a downwards movement. So let me zoom out of here real quick. CT said should be some not so good news out of UK. So yeah, if the news is not good, which CT confirmed, it's probably not going to be good. It looks like it's going to continue on with a downtrend. So right here we have the sell signal indicating a momentum swing downwards. It's been swinging down for a while, so every sell signal has been pretty much on point. Every buy signal has just been small retracement. So right here, let me add on the SR, see if there's any other levels. There's no other lower levels. So what I'm anticipating is if we get a strong rejection off this zone right here, it's probably going to come shoot on down. But even if it was to shoot on down, I probably wouldn't enter until it breaks below the. Actually, that's a long way. it's 50 pips away. So the thing is, if you get a strong, if you go on the lower time frames, there's actually a sell signal right here. So this might be a good entry to enter GU, because on the lower time frames, 30-minute, we have a sell signal, and it's going to be a big push until it reaches the next zoned area. So you go ahead and pull out the short tool. So we have a sell signal right there. You can pretty much ride this down all the way to 50 pips. But like CT said, there's news coming out. Generally, I personally don't trade news. It's just too risky. So I'm not going to take this trade. But if you want to take it, Felix, I think a sell would be your best option here. Let's go back to the 4-hour. Yeah, and it looks perfect right there. Especially if this candle closes. So we have about an hour left in this 4-hour candle. If we get a 4-hour candle and it closes, a strong rejection off this support level right here, or this resistance, I mean, then it can move in the zone and pretty much test the lower end of this K2SR. So that's pretty much what I see. It's a nice little push if you can catch that full 50 pips, if not even half. You might even want to lessen your risk and only go for half the move, which is fine as well, because obviously price might come back and retrace. So even if you're going for half the move, it looks like it looks pretty plausible. I think that could definitely work out. But yeah, if you're going to enter this trade, I probably would want to put your stop loss into either the next zone or above it, just to be safe, because you don't want to get caught in any any whipsaw movements or any like random spikes in price. Because as you can see right here from the previous candles, there are some spikes in price. Like right here, there's a spike for 62 pips. You don't want to get caught in that. Again, right here is another spike in price, another 60 pips. So what could happen here is it could spike 60 pips this way or spike 60 pips this way. You'll never know until it actually happens. Let's see what else we got. All right, Joe wants to check out NZD JPY. Let me pull that up real quick. Hey, Aaron, can you check if there's any news coming up? I think we're good for the most part, but
yeah, I think the only news coming up is for JPY, which is about I think like in 3 hours.
Monetary policy, yeah, it's tentative, so it's probably gonna. It's gonna happen sometime between now and 10, and then we have the GBP news at 11. So, it might not be a good time to enter any trades right now, especially just with the heavy news week. Plus, we have a bunch of positions open right now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. We have 7 positions open currently. Maybe 8 if you guys didn't close your NC trade from yesterday. So we're probably just not going to call any more trades for the rest of the day. Maybe during London, but there's news again at 4:30 a.m. tomorrow, some Euro news. So it might not make sense for us to take any more trades for the rest of the week. Aaron, do you have the totals for our week already?
Yeah, I do.
Where are we at right now? We're doing good?
Yeah, we're pretty good so far. Let me check. I think we're at like 246 pips.
That's not too bad. Nothing's changed, right, since the last results that you sent me earlier?
Yeah, nothing much. Let's see. Yeah, the results are still the same from earlier.
All right, cool. Yeah, so if I pull up the results, it looks like we're still up pretty nicely, well over 200 pips overall. So you guys took every trade. Looks like Monday was a good day. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins. Aaron, you gotta work on your math, bro.
Wait, what happened?
Your 6 wins, your week 5. So we got 6 wins on Monday. We got a couple trades that are still active from Tuesday. 1, 2, 3 that have 3 that have hit TP. You have 1 stop loss, and then 2 that are active right now. And then right now we have 1 active trade, the GJ trade from Wednesday, and then the odd CHF that hit TP, but it's also active. So overall we're up 262 pips.
You said on Monday it was 6 wins.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, right.
1, 2, 3, 4. That's like 5 to me. I don't know. Am I tripping?
All right, my counting's off then. All right, guys, let's go back to the. Yeah, I'm just gonna blow that off. All right, so Joe wants us to check out NZD JPY. Let me pull that up real quick. So right now we've got So the most recent signal is a buy signal. So the momentum is still swinging upwards. Let me check if there's any other zones that have created. No, so there's no other zones right now. These are the only zones that we have at the moment. So since we do have a buy signal that's active, which is, directing that price is going to continue on upwards, what I would wait for is I would wait for price to break above this zoned area right here. And then that would give you, a valid entry to enter a buy. The problem with entering, any trades right now is that it's stuck inside the zone. So the thing is, as it's stuck inside the zone, price can go either way. It can either go up or it can either go down. So for the most part, I wouldn't enter this trade until, there's extra confirmation, especially with how things have been going in the market, this week and last week. Like last week, or actually early this week, JPY was super strong. I mean, it was super weak. As you can see right here, on the 18th, the entire week it's been super weak. But last week it was super strong. So I mean, I don't know what could happen, from now until tomorrow. You'll never really know if there's something else that drops, especially with the news coming up. So looking at the news, it looks like, let me pull it up over here. Get the calendar open. All right. So looking at the calendar today, we have high impact Japanese news for the Japanese yen. We have the monetary policy statement. And then, we don't really know what's going to happen. So once that's released, it's still tentative. So we're not even sure if it's even going to be released. Once that is released, that could affect NZD JPY, heavily. If it shows that, if it's strong news, then it could shoot on up. If it's not so strong news, it could shoot on down. So that's the reason why I would wait for it to confirm before entering that trade. So let me fix this real quick. I'm gonna look at the NZD JPY sentiment. All right, so I got the sentiment right here. All right, so it looks like 53% of traders are short. I mean, it's not a heavy side to the short. So this gives even more uncertainty as to, where price would go. If there were more short positions in place, then, obviously I'd anticipate it to go on upwards. But it's 53%. So technically it can go either way. So John, I'm not sure if you're in this trade already or if you're just thinking about entering it. But personally, I would wait for it to break out of the zone either upwards or downwards before you take this trade. Because the thing is, if we have a sell signal and it closes below this zone, then I'm going to anticipate it to come down and test this lower zone right here. And then that will be about, it's a nice push down. It's about 40 to 50 pips if you were to take a short position here. However, if it closes above, there's no support there's no resistance that's been established up here. So the thing is, this could shoot to the moon. It could literally go as far as it wants. But it does have a buy bias right now. So until I get some more confirmation that it breaks above this zone right here, then I wouldn't take a buy. Similar with the sell. If I don't get a sell signal that, confirms that price is coming downwards, then I wouldn't take a sell yet either. See how far is it from the zone. So, I mean, it's not super far. It's about like 23 pips from breaking the zone upwards. And then breaking the zone downwards, about the same distance, 30 pips. So I would pretty much just wait for, let's see, CT has his zones. Let's check them out. All right, cool, perfect. Stretch this out real quick. All right, so here is CT zones. It looks like he has a zone that's a little higher as well. So he's on 4 hour. Okay, so he has the zone about, let's see, it's 66,108. So let me pull up the chart again, 66,108. Oh, he has it at the same place. So yeah, we have the same exact zones lined up right here. So yeah, until it breaks that zoned area, then I wouldn't enter the trade for a buy, or similar to his lower zone right here. It lines up with mine as well. Um, it's pretty much going to go sideways until it breaks one of these zones. So unless you have a trade open, then I would just wait. You can always set an alert. Like what I would do generally is I would just set an alert right here. Go to add alert, and then just notify me once it's crossing the upper zone. Similar with the bottom. But I definitely just see it bouncing around or moving sideways until there's some catalyst that moves price. Just because also we're in Tokyo session and it's not really going to move very much unless there's something that's really pushing it. So I mean, there goes my analysis for NJ. I think that's about it for that one. Felix said any signals today at 3 a.m. Felix, there's a let me see. I think I pulled up the news earlier. There's a lot of news today, so I'm probably not going to call any signals of my own because I only give out signals, for trades that I'm actually taking. I mean, if you want trades, I can give you trades, but they're going to be risky trades. They're not going to be, any official trades that I'm going to be calling because we do have the Japanese monetary policy statement that's tentative. It can come out from now onwards to 5 hours until the Japanese markets close. After that, at 11 p.m., that gives you a less than a 1 hour buffer from the from the British pound news for the retail sales. Obviously, the retail sales are going to be low, so it's not going to be good news. But like we've discussed before, fundamentals that aren't following the the direction that they're supposed to follow. So even though they're dropping bad news down here, price can still go up. So I mean, it's really a coin toss. So if you want to take trades and risk it, I mean, feel free, and I can give you trades. But I'm not going to post any official signals because I'm not going to risk any losses just to take some risky trades. Also, tomorrow at 4:30 a.m. there's European news. The ECB is going to have their monetary policy meeting, and this is not going to be good either. So it looks like bad news all around. So this causes a breeding ground for manipulation to happen because everyone's anticipating price to go down for these specific currencies. So this gives institutions and market makers the opportunity to spike price in certain directions where people aren't anticipating price to be spiking. Especially if there's going to be a lot of stop losses in those areas once it gets closer to news time. So you're probably not going to get any signals from me, not right now. But if you do want me to give you like a random signal or like something that I anticipate happening, then I could. Similar with the GU. If price breaks below, then yeah, obviously I'll take a sell. But if it breaks above, I wouldn't take a buy because there's still two zones here to break. Because what might happen with GU, like we discussed earlier, if it ends up retracing a little bit, it might retrace and then shoot on down, or it might retrace even further up and then shoot on down. But who knows? Like if it shoots on up, it might just keep shooting on up. But with the news coming out, everyone's anticipating the pound to be weak. So if the pound's going to be weak, everyone's going to be putting in sell orders. The problem with that is if there's too many sell orders, the institutions and the big banks, they're not going to let that. They're not going to let you win that easy. They're probably going to let it come down to trick you a little bit because people are anticipating price to come down. They'll probably bring it down a little bit and then randomly spike price up like 50 pips to stop everyone out and then bring it back down and then screw with you again and then shoot it back up and then finally bring it down where it's supposed to go. So that's why I don't trade during news because it's just a breeding ground for manipulation. So that's pretty much why I wouldn't take any trades right now. But if you do want to take trades, I mean, feel free. But if you're asking for my advice, I wouldn't advise any new entries during this time. Let's see. Okay, Felix also wants. What does this mean, Felix? Felix says K2 stocks on top. Let's see. Let's pull up Felix's stocks group. Yeah, if you guys aren't familiar with the K2 stocks, We created this new K2 stocks group, but it's run by Felix, you know, everyone's favorite 12-year-old. And yeah, you can see, you know, Felix is always just messing around here. So this is Felix's, it's Felix right here. He went from day trader to stock slinger. This is his chat, and pretty much here, you know, Felix, even though he's a little kid, he's pretty good with stocks. I mean, you know, I can give him that. You know, he's a lot better than I ever was with stocks. But yeah, you can see here, he posts all of his alerts. If you guys are interested in stocks, he has, you know, buy Amazon. I don't know if this is buy Shopify. Felix, you got to put a buy there or something. It's a little confusing if you don't put a buy or a sell, but looks like, yeah, he has all these stocks that have sent, you know, right here for his Amazon. They've all hit TP. So if you guys are interested in stocks, I mean, go ahead and take a look. I personally don't trade stocks anymore, but, you know, Felix knows what he's doing. So, you know, go ahead and take a look if you guys are interested in that. But yeah, I mean, that's about it for right now. We don't have any questions. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. If you guys want me to cover, you know, any topics, any trading topics, or any pairs that you want me to analyze. But like I said, there's a lot of news coming up. So the problem with that is, you know, there's not going to be very many trade opportunities that are going to be, you know, low risk. Everything's going to be super high risk right now because there's tentative Japanese news, and, you know, that can affect majority of the pairs since, you know, we're in the Tokyo session, as well with the British pound news at 11 p.m., which is in about 6 hours. But we can go ahead and just look at what we have active right now. So if you guys are still in the US 30 trade, it's still active and it's still in profit. However, it keeps testing, you know, this resistance zone right here. So I'm not sure if it's going to come on down because, you know, we've been in this trade for so long, pretty much all day. And generally, I like to get out of this trade, you know, once the New York Stock Exchange closes, because, you know, the market starts moving a little weird due to the low volatility. But if you guys did take this trade earlier, I did give some updates. So let me just pull up the premium. Let's see. Okay, so the premium's right here. So this morning I sent out this trade. I gave you guys, you know, the original entry right here with the sell stop. About 20 minutes later, it dropped down, you know, about 1,000 pips. So if you guys took that trade, you would have been deep in profit right there. And I advise people to, you know, move your stop loss and profit. Again, in another 20 minutes, price dropped another 500 to 1,000 pips. So it was literally right next to full TP. Again, I advised you guys, you know, move your stop loss and profit. So I'm sure most of you got stopped out in profit already. I personally got stopped out in profit too. But if you guys wanted to, you know, keep hanging on to it, I still think it's going to come down. The only problem is that, you know, like I said, now that we're in London session, you know, there's not going to be very high volatility. But it still looks pretty strong because you can see here it's tested this resistance a ton of times, 1, 2, 3, and then a 4th time, and it still hasn't been able to break. So, you know, this is a very strong resistance point right here. So it might just come shooting down, but that looks good if you guys still have it open. If not, looks like you would have had a possible, let's see how many pips, you know, a possible profit of about, you know, close to 1,700 pips. I did send that last alert at 1,500, and that's where I moved my stop loss to. So as it dropped down, I moved my stop loss to 1,500, and then I got stopped out 1,500 pips in profit, which is not too bad. It's a, you know, it's a decent profit for one day. And if you're trading, with a broker that values, you know, US $30 per pip, you know, it's a 1,500 in a couple minutes. Let's see. So if you took that trade from start, you go down here. So in about 30, 40 minutes, you could have, you know, locked in 1,500 if your broker values it $1 per pip. If you're using Hugo's way and you're using, you know, the bare minimum, you just take a zero off that. Instead of 1,500, you would have made 150, which, you know, I can't complain with that much profit as well. Let's see. CT said, note all index futures are up right now. So let's see. US 30 is, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was swinging up right there. Let's look at the other ones. Let's zoom out of this one. So let's just go down all the index pairs. So we got the Aussie dollar right here. Let's go down to shorter time frame, 10-minute. I mean, the Aussie usually just going sideways anyways, but yeah, it is going bullish right here. It looks like it shot up quite a bit. Let's see. Yeah, it shot up about 270 pips. Then obviously, it's gonna fill the gap, and then it might continue up, might continue down. Who knows? The ESP 35, it's in consolidation right now. Yeah, France 40. Yeah, it's been pushing up. So if we counted it from right here at 8:20 this morning, it's been going up. Looks like it could keep going up because we have this long lower wick right here. See what the DAX is looking like. DAX has been pushing up too. So yeah, France, DAX, those are both pushing up pretty strong, and those are both busier pairs. I mean busier indexes compared to the Aussie and the ESP. Okay, so I don't know what happened here. So for the Nisei, the Japan 225, it looks like there was a big drop. So this looks like when a little bit after market open. I don't know if this has to do with the tentative news that was supposed to come out for JPY, but yeah, it dropped about 700 pips, and then it looks like it might be filling the gap right here. So it might come up a little bit before coming down, but yeah, like CT said, all of the main indexes are pretty much moving up right now. France, German DAX, or maybe not. the JP T25 just dropped again, so I'm sure this has to do with the news. See what the Nasdaq's looking like. It's dropping right now. It looks like it pushed up all day and then it's starting to drop down. Might be reversing. I don't know. We'll see. What else do we got here? We got the S&P. So the S&P's doing the same thing. It dropped down a little bit, but I guess it was pushing up sort of. I mean, it's been strong all day, so it might be time for it to reverse. Who knows? Let's see the S&P. So this morning. Oh wow! If you guys use the daily K2, well, I mean the daily US30 strategy that I apply, I don't use it on S&P, but if you guys did use it, so the stock market opened right here at 6:30, and then obviously we take the first entry following that. So this one right here, this would be the candle. If you guys took this entry, you could have made a ton of profit off S&P. I was talking to someone about this in the chat, but yeah, I personally don't trade S&P, but if you did. Looks like it could have been, yeah, a real nice profit. I'm not sure what the valuation is for S&P because I don't trade it. But if I was to, put my stop loss at the previous swing's way up here. It's too far for me. I'd probably put it somewhere around here just for this big candle. But if you did take that trade, it looks like, yeah, that would have been nice. Let's see. S&P is dropping pretty heavy now. Let's see if US30 is going to follow. Oh, it's starting to drop now. Oh, Dave. Yeah, Dave. So, yeah, if you took a S&P, I mean, yeah, it works out perfectly. Personally, I don't know. I've never really tested it myself. Or we did test it, like, slightly with, I think John. Is John here? Let me see. John's not here today. But yeah, John he usually trades S&P, and he's been using it, and it works pretty fine. The main time frames that I would look at the 5-minute, 10-minute, and the 15-minute. But yeah, like right here, if you took this trade, 6:30 was right here. So we take the first signal, which is right here, easy money. We can go ahead and look at the previous day. So the previous day was the 20th right here. Let's see, so 6:30. Oh man, you might be onto something, Dave. So look, 6:30 right here. First signal right here, straight winner. There you go, another winner right there. So back-to-back wins. Today is what, Thursday? So Thursday was a winner. Wednesday was a winner. Let's see if we have a hot streak right here. All right, next day was the 19th. 19th, 6. 30 was right here. You might have had a win. Like I said, I don't know what the valuation is for S&P, so I don't know how far you would put your stop loss. But if you were to put your stop loss at the previous swing, which would, you know, technically be up here. This swing looks like it's a little too close. So if you were to put your, that's way too high though. I don't know like what's a good what's a good number for you guys to set your stop loss. But I mean, if you put it right here, it looks like it reversed right away. But if you put your stop loss way up here or to the next zone at least, you know, somewhere around here, 300 pips. Let's see. It looks like it's a little too close. So maybe 350. So if you move your stop loss to the previous swing right there, and then you rode this, it looks like it moved in profit. So as it dropped down here, I probably would have moved my stop loss, you know, to break even or somewhere in profit. And then, you know, you could have exited somewhere around here. But yeah, like I said, I'm not familiar with S&P. So if you do want to apply it on there, you guys can feel free to test it out. Or you guys can, you know, ask in the chat. Because I know some people do trade S&P and NASDAQ. I personally don't, so I can't really give you advice on, you know, how to apply the strategy because I based my strategy solely on US 30. But it looks like it works pretty fine. Like right here on the 20th, it was a winner. And then on the 21st, also a winner. Let me go back to US 30 real quick, see if it's doing anything. Yeah, we're probably not going to see too much. Yeah, it might come up. Maybe it'll come up and, you know, break the resistance, or it might come straight shooting down. We'll never really know until something actually happens. And it's only 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock is usually slow time. It's probably not going to pick up until, you know, 10 o'clock, 5 hours from now. So if you guys are still in this trade, hang on, or move your stop loss to at least break even or somewhere in profit. Personally, I would have, you know, at least move your stop loss somewhere down here to get out with some decent profit because, you know, this was a nice big move earlier. Let's see. We have another question from Amrit. So Amrit, we're going to check out NZD USD right now. Let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to move back to the higher time frame. Let's go to NZD USD. Let's see. Oh, I have this marker. So we do have a sell signal that's indicating that momentum swinging downwards. I wouldn't take the trade right now. I would wait for a little more confirmation. Or what you can do is, let me see how far is this. It's just too close. So I wouldn't take this trade because there's just not enough cushion for you to, you know, make a decent movement before, you know, hitting another support down here. Generally, I like there to be a little over 15 pips, closer to 20 pips of a cushion right here. That way, once price moves down, you can move your stop loss and profit. So you can eliminate your risk, and if price was to, you know, reverse on you, you can at least get stopped out in profit or at break even. The problem with this is that if you enter a sell here, you know, price might come down slightly to test it, and then reject off the support, and then reverse on you. I wouldn't take any buys, even though, you know, price is a little bullish here, because we do have the strong momentum swing downwards. You can see right here that, you know, generally if we have a momentum swing where it's like in the open, it'll kind of push into a certain direction. Like right here, we have a momentum swing upwards from a buy signal, and then it broke this zone right here, and then you could have rode this all the way up. And this is how the K2 zone strategy works. Basically, we're going to identify the direction of momentum, and then once it breaks a zone, you can take an entry like you did right here, and then you can have made, you know, an easy 51 pips right here. Similar with right here, even though this isn't a valid sell signal, once it's followed by a bearish candle like it is right here, this would confirm, you know, some type of entry to go downwards. The problem with this trade, like I just mentioned earlier, it's way too close to this support zone right here. So until it breaks, you know, maybe this zone down here, then I would take a trade, because this gives you enough cushion for you to capture this movement right here for 45 pips. But yeah, for NU, it doesn't really look like there's any specific opportunity to enter the trade, unless, you know, there's some type of catalyst that's telling you, you know, price is going to be moving in that direction, then I would take it. But the problem is if price moves up into this zone right here, then you're going to get kind of screwed, because you're going to have to deal with this zoned area. Once it breaks into the zone, price could move anywhere within the zone before breaking out in either direction. So until there's something that gives you an idea of the direction of price, then I probably wouldn't be taking, any specific trade for NZD USD. Also, I'm not sure if you were here earlier, Emrit, but but there's a ton of news today. So we still have, the tentative JPY news. Let's see if it happened. Refresh this real quick. Nothing's been posted, so it doesn't look like there's anything that's been released yet, or statement. It's only 5 o'clock. The Tokyo market just opened, so this report could come out at any point in time between now and 10 p.m. So, even though this isn't an NZD pair, it could possibly affect other pairs as well. Same with the GBP news later. So we have another GBP news at 11, so that's in about 6 hours. The problem with that is that can also affect the market as well, because like I mentioned earlier, heavy news days are just breeding grounds for manipulation to happen. So personally, I wouldn't take this trade. But if we do, say if this candle closes, we have 39 minutes. If this candle closes and it's bearish, then this would give you a proper entry for a sell. So if it closes with the red candle below this resistance zone, then it would give you a decent sell here where you can possibly scalp. It looks like it's about 22 pips from the next support zone, and then that's something that you can probably catch if you really want to enter this trade. But it doesn't look like it could drop. It's only 38 minutes, but I mean, who knows? A lot of things can happen within 38 minutes, or a lot of things can happen. It just depends on how price wants to move for this specific pair. But yeah, I would give it some time. I wouldn't enter it right now, but if you do see something, then I definitely would take a some type of sell bias. I'll go on the lower time frames real quick to see if there's anything else. Yeah, we don't even have a sell signal for 30-minute. So I would just hang on to that for now. I personally wouldn't enter. Let's see. All right, so we're all done with the Q&A questions. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them down. If you guys need help, using TradingView, or any type of theory that you need help with. I know a lot of people have problems with risk management. They don't know how what lot size to take, stuff like that. Feel free to drop it in the Q&A, and then we can go over. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep looking at the trades that we have active right now. So let's go back to the US 30. It's still stuck in that resistance area. So I'll check on it again in about 7 minutes once this candle closes, and then we'll see what happens from there. Otherwise, I'll just go ahead and take a look at the active trades that we have open right now. So odd CHF. Yeah, I don't know what happened with this. Let's see, 2 a.m. Oh, that was when the Euro news was released. So at 2 a.m., like we discussed in the chat earlier, there was a ton of news this morning. So at 12 a.m., there was Euro news. And then again at 12:30, there was big Euro news. And then 1 a.m., 1:30, there was like a whole lot of Euro and GBP news during this time period. And it looks like for all of our pairs that we had open that were in profit, they were in profit for quite some time. And then once it hit London session 2 a.m., it just shot up like crazy. And I'm sure this was due to the Euro news that was released. Since this is a Swiss franc pair, obviously it's going to affect that as well. But if you guys did move your stop loss in profit, I mean, generally, our main rule is if it moves in profit, within 10 pips, at least move your stop loss to break even. And then once it moves to TP1, move your stop loss to TP1. So as it swings back, you'll be able to get stopped out. So our TP1 was set at 20 pips right here. So as you can see, you had some time to move your stop loss in profit. So if you guys moved your stop loss in profit, you'd be out of this trade, with 20 pips, which is, it's not bad because then you wouldn't be in this drawdown right now. But if you guys are still in this trade, I think it's still going to come down. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens, within the next couple hours, especially with the news coming out, because I'm sure the GBP news is probably going to affect this, maybe in a good way. Who knows? Let's see what else we have here. So this is our other position, odd NZD. It's been just consolidating a lot, but it is in profit right now. So if you guys have this, maybe move your stop loss in profit. It did hit TP1 earlier right here, which was, I mean, I don't know, about like 27, 28 pips. So let me see if I can, I think it was 26.5.
It was 26.5.
26.5. If you guys took this position earlier, it dropped down. You could have moved your stop loss and profit, you know, which we always recommend. If you guys did, you've gone stopped out either at TP1 or somewhere around, you know, this zone. But if you guys are still in the trade, it's still in profit. So I think you're fine. I would recommend moving your stop loss at least in profit or to break even, just due to the heavy news week. You know, you're better off closing in profit than, you know, risking this whole position just to, you know, make a few more pips. Let's see what else we got here. CAD CHF. I didn't call this. This was a pending trade, but I think there was news around that time, so I didn't call it. CAD JPY. This right here, like I said, see 2 a.m. Same thing that happened with odd CHF. Odd CHF, 2 a.m. It had a huge spike in the opposite direction. I'm sure that was due to the Euro news. Similar with right here, spike at the same exact time at 2 a at what is it? Yeah, from 2 a.m. going to 6 a.m. There was news. Let's see. Yeah, there was a ton of news around this time. So there was USD high impact, USD medium, GBP news, just all throughout the night, and it looks like it's not correcting. So it had this random spike down, and then now it's correcting back upward. So, you know, that's a good thing if you guys still have that trade open. Euro odd, this trade's pissing me. It's been going back and forth for like literally the past, how long we had, for 2-3 days. You know, it's just bouncing in and out of profit. It looks like it's still coming back down, so that's what I'm waiting for. It looks fine. That's going to come back down. So Keith said, I think we're breaking resistance on US 30. Let's check it out.
Shawn, if you look at US 30 on a 30-minute, it gave up a K² buy signal.
On the 30-minute?
Yeah, it was our old strategy.
The trend is upwards?
Yeah.
I don't know what this happens. Every time I like, okay, cool. So let's see right here. Yeah, it did break resistance, like Keith said. But it, depending on how this candle closes, I mean, it might close with a high wick here. It could be like what happened up here. So if I draw a smaller zone right here, you know, this would give a rejection zone if it does come down. But yeah, it did break resistance. You go on the higher time frame, like Aaron was saying. The overall trend is up. This is why I generally like to get out of this trade before the New York Stock Exchange closes, because there's a lot of weird movement that happens after hours. The way that the K2 strategy works for the daily US 30 entry is what we're doing is we're catching the momentum swing as the market opens. But as you know, there was heavy US news this morning. We had the USD manufacturing. Where is it at? Yeah, this morning we had the USD flash manufacturing PMI, which always, you know, this generally affects the market pretty heavy. And then we also had the Fed speak at 11:30, and that was causing, you know, a lot of weird movement in the market. And that's why, you know, we had this huge move upwards, and then it corrected back downwards right here, and this is how we took our entry. But I always recommend, you know, exiting your trade and moving your stop loss and profit once you get in profit, because the thing is, something like this could happen where price just gets weird once we're in after hours. But like I said just earlier, it might close like how it did right here. So I wouldn't be too worried about this bullish move. But yeah, the overall trend is bullish. And then Aaron said to check on the 30-minute. So let's check on that real quick. And it looks like, yeah, there was a buy signal. But, you know, even though there's a buy signal, that doesn't necessarily mean that price is going to continue on upwards. And it just doesn't align with, you know, the current strategy why we entered this trade. So, you know, I don't know how far this is going to push up. It might not even push up that far, because the thing is, this candle hasn't closed yet. Let me stretch this out real quick. So this candle hasn't closed yet. So technically it could still close with the higher wick right here and pull back down, kind of similar to what happened right here. Because you can see that price generally respects these zones very well. So you can see right here, there was a buy signal and the trend was trending upwards. But however, because there was a strong resistance right here, price rejected off it, completely and shot down very hard. Similar to what might happen here. You can see this is becoming a weak bullish candle. If this candle closes bearish, it might come back with an opposite signal and come shooting straight down to our TP, which is what I'm hoping for, because I'm getting tired of watching this trade. I really don't like watching US 30 after hours because, like I said, it moves very irregular, and it's not really it's not really hard to, it's not really easy to predict what direction it's going, because the New York Stock Exchange is closed, so you're not going to have that crazy high volatility that we have during market open. But yeah, if you guys are in this trade, I wouldn't worry too much. I would wait for this candle to close. We have about 2 seconds left in this candle. Let's see. So close, slightly above it. We'll see what happens on this candle if there's a confirmation. Because what might happen is you can see it's a bearish. It's starting off bearish. There's a lot of different scenarios that can happen here. If this closes bearish, it could come shooting down. Or if it stays bullish, it might even come up, test this resistance point, and then come on down. So, who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens in the next 30 minutes. But I know a lot of people are probably getting impatient with this trade because we've been holding this since 6 or 7 a.m. this morning. So it's been almost 12 hours, and usually we don't hold this. We don't usually hold our US 30 trade for that long. Generally, we hit TP within a couple hours. But with these current market conditions, anything could happen. So yeah, if you guys have this trade, sit tight. It's going to be a ride until London. But yeah, you can see right there it's correcting back downwards. You have a strong bearish candle. Could be good. All right, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, we don't have no other questions right now, so I'm just going to keep going down the our active trades at the moment. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A, and we can go over them. Let's see, we left off on EA. I'm hoping EA is going to come drop down because I'm tired of watching this too. I generally don't like holding trades for more than a day. If you guys have been active in the chat and in the premium, I usually like to get out of these trades within a day or so. But due to the current market conditions, price is just moving weird. Let's see your CAD. This was something that I was looking at. I think I didn't call this because there was news. Yeah, 6 a.m. there was news this morning, so I didn't call that, thankfully, since I'm drawdown, so we're not in that trade. Here's CHF. Another one that I lined up this morning. Same thing. I lined this up at 6 a.m. There was a lot of news, so I didn't call this. But yeah, it looks like it could come back up. So the thing is, if we didn't enter this trade, we could have like a buy stop here and then maybe catch it as it shoots up. But like as we discussed, there's a lot of news coming up, so I wouldn't take that risk. Plus, it's Thursday. The market volatility starts to die down as it gets closer to Friday, and a lot of people are selling off their positions. So it's not something that I would necessarily be looking for at this point in time. Our EJ trade, it looks like it got really close to TP. So if you guys were in this trade, I think our TP1 was about 30 pips. So if I check this out right here, yeah, you guys had more than a great opportunity for you to move your stop loss to TP1. So if you guys did move your stop loss to TP1, you would have gotten stopped out of this position with 30 pips. It did trigger right here. So you guys had like 4 or 8 hours for you to adjust your stop loss. So if you guys did, then you would have gone down profit. If you're still in the trade, it looks fine. I wouldn't worry too much about it, but I would move as it moves in profit again, I would move your stop loss at least to break even, just in case anything weird happens, because there's high impact Japanese news tentative right now. Let's check on it again to see if there's any update. Let's see. Nope, still tentative. So there's nothing else that's been released yet. So we'll see. Keith said, is it still good to get into current active trades? Technically, You could get into them if you really wanted to, but myself personally, I wouldn't get into any trades because, you know, there's so much news that's coming out in the next couple hours. And it's just too risky. And I don't really like taking risky trades. You know, I like to take trades that I'm pretty confident about. And, you know, I have a good understanding that, you know, price is probably going to be moving in that direction. Although, I mean, EJ looks fine. It looks like it rejected off this support. So it might shoot on up, hit TP, full TP. It already hit TP1, so it might hit full TP. But personally, I wouldn't get into any trades right now, you know, just because there's so much news going on. Let's see, EN stuck in the zone. It's just consolidating. Wouldn't even bother looking at that trade right now. EU, kind of similar to what I was going over with Felix earlier. Like I said, you know, it has a bullish bias, so I'm thinking that it's going to come up and test this resistance, possibly break. I mean, yeah, test this resistance, possibly break, and, you know, keep shooting on upwards. All right, we got one from CT, so let's check out GCAD. GCAD's one of our active positions right here. Let me see if there's any other zones I have lined up. No, it doesn't look like there's any zones down here. But it looks like one's probably going to form right here because, or maybe even right here. It's tested it quite a bit. Let me go on the other time frames to see if there's anything else. Yeah, it looks like right here. So 6 a.m. This is when the news was released. So, you know, just like the other pairs, I was saying there's, you know, a ton of you know, unusual movements due to the news today. You know, generally we don't have that much news that's back to back to back like that. But, you know, unfortunately this week has been a weird week for us. You know, it's still a profitable week. We're still up nearly 300 pips for the week overall, but, you know, I was hoping for something better because the week before that was just as weird. So let's see right here. Let me go on the higher time frame. I'm just going to see if there's any other zones. Oh yeah, so on the 8-hour, it looks like it rejected right off the support. So I'm just going to draw this right. I mean, not support, resistance. So on the 8-hour, it looks like it rejected like literally right off it. I'll go back on the lower time frame, take off the SR. Yeah, it looks like, you know, it broke above it, but I mean, I don't know, it's weird. Like right here on the 4-hour, for some reason, it looks like price broke above it, but if I look on the 8-hour, it looks like it contains the whole move. Oh, because obviously the candles are different because on the 8-hour, the candle, it's 2 4-hour candles. So, you know, technically it looks like it's rejected within the zone, but I mean, we'll see. I think it's going to come back down. It's in an overall downtrend, and you know this bullish spike was, you know, due to the news. It wasn't necessarily due to, you know, anything specific, but it looks like it's correcting back down just like every other pair that we have active right now. So let's see. CT has a screenshot for a zone. See the CT zone. All right, so cool. CT, his zone is about let me say that's around 1.71. Oh, okay, I see. He actually typed it up. So he has his zone set at, let's see if I can, coordinates. He has it set at 70503. Oh yeah, it's about the same. I mean, but this gives a whole different story because if his zone's right there, then price rejected from the lower end. So who knows, man? This might go, you know, either direct. Oh, that was your entry. Okay. Yeah. So actually, yeah, if that's the case where that was your entry, I think it's gonna come back down. Because, you know, if the other pairs are correcting, and, you know, obviously this is probably going to follow as well, because, you know, obviously this wasn't an irregular movement. And, you know, actually let's check the IG sentiment. Okay, so GBP CAD IG sentiment, because this will give us better understanding, you know, as to, you know, where price might be shooting once the GBP news comes out. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so there's 58% of clients are long. So what might happen at 11 p.m. when, you know, the GBP news comes, because there's so many people that are going long, what might happen is the institutions and market makers, they're going to spike price down just like they did with this spiking it up. See, the problem here was when this news was released, there were probably a ton of sellers because it's in such a strong downtrend. So what happened was there was a bunch of sellers and there's people, their stop losses placed around this area. And then what the market makers and institutions did is they shot price up to stop everyone out. So everyone got their position stopped out. And then what's happening now is that price is correcting back downwards. And then now, it's funny because a lot of people I'm sure a lot of people chased this trade. So once they saw this shoot up like that, what happened was, a bunch of people started putting buy orders in. So there's now 58% of people are long. So those people that are long are going to get screwed at 11 p.m. most likely because the market makers know who's long and who's short. So if there's going to be more long positions, what happens when there's a lot of long positions is that if people are long from right here where they enter, so say if someone entered, I'm just going to pull this over right here. All right, so people, if they saw this nice gap up right here, there's a lot of FOMO traders that are just chasing movements. They're not really trading, with any type of with strategy. And when they see this move up, a lot of people entered a buy position, probably at the top right here. And now currently they're in drawdown. So the thing is with them, they probably have their stop losses placed, around 30, 40 pips, somewhere around there, or maybe even lower. They're probably going to put their stop loss right here at the low of this candle, which is about 85 pips. That's a lot of pips, and especially if you're trading GCAD, this is not a cheap pair to trade. The pips trading this pair is a lot more pricey than trading an odd pair or JPY pair. So a lot of people probably don't even have their stop losses this low. This is too much risk for a lot of people, and their stop loss is probably going to be somewhere closer up to around 40, 50 pips. So what's going to happen at 11 p.m. when the GPP news is released, obviously the market makers and institutions are going to manipulate price. And since there's more buyers here, they're going to spike price downwards. And then they're going to stop everyone out. So everyone that's in a buy position, they're going to get stopped out. And then it's going to correct back downwards. So that's probably what I see happening, within the next couple hours. I can understand now why price is pushing up a little bit. It wants to trick people. It seems like, what's happening here is the market makers and institutions are, there's a lot of people that are going to be putting in buy orders. So they're going to give people a few gimmies, like a couple bullish candles like they did right here. Like you can see right here, there's a couple bullish candles. It dropped down, a couple bullish candles, and then it dropped down even further. So that's probably what's happening here, similar pattern. And then, once news comes out, that gives them opportunity to manipulate price. Depending on, where stop losses are, they're going to go on a stop loss hunt. I'm sure you guys are aware of that. It happens all the time, and sometimes you get caught in it. So I would probably just give it some time. We're probably not going to see any movement from now until London Open. But I mean, this is actually pretty exciting. I kind of want to see what happens. Let's see if it plays out. But yeah, I think that's it for GC. There's not really much to say about it because due to the way price is moving, I do see it moving downward. So CT is in short. K2 traders are in a short too because this is the signal that we gave earlier. So I would just be patient with it, and hopefully price spikes in our direction. But I'll check back on that a little later to see what happens around news time. All right, Razik wants to check out AU. Let me go up to AU real quick. So right now we have I mean, this is an invalid sell signal because, obviously it was a sell signal, but then it was a bullish candle. But that doesn't mean that momentum might be, continuing downwards. So if I zoom out, it's in an overall uptrend, as you can tell here. It's been in an uptrend since way down here. But the problem with that is, it's been an uptrend for so long, it might be about time for reversal. It looks like it established a new high right here. So if I draw a little zone up here, it looks like it's probably going to continue on downwards. So in order to take this trade, me personally, I would wait for price to break below this zone, and then that would give a valid entry for a K2SR zone trading strategy entry. So if price was to close down here, I would enter a sell position and then ride this thing down. it gives it a ton of cushion right here to pretty much ride this down to the next zone. And it looks pretty good. It looks like, you know, if this candle looks pretty indecisive, it has wicks on both sides. You know, if it closes out as a doji, we have about 15 minutes on this candle. So depending on how this candle closes, it might even close down pretty heavy bearish. And then if it does, it'll close below here, and then you can take that sell. It'll be similar to, you know, what we saw right here. So right here we had a buy signal. It was indicating a momentum swing upwards. Once price broke outside of the zone, it's down zone right here, and it broke right here. What happened was it ended up going up to test the next zone, similar to what, you know, I was looking at right here. So applying the K2 strategy, you know, if you entered right here, you probably would have exited somewhere near the zone, and that'd be perfect exit right there. And that's pretty much what I see happening with AU right here if the same thing plays out, because we do have a sell signal. This bearish candle didn't close below the zone, but if we get another bearish candle and it closes below the zone, then I would anticipate that to shoot on downwards. But who knows, you know, we won't really know until this candle closes, but it doesn't even look like it's moving that much. So, you know, within these 14 minutes, if price doesn't close, you know, above or below, it might just consolidate. So it might just go sideways until it breaks out one direction or the other. And even if it does break above, it's probably going to come and test for a double top and then come shooting down. I mean, there's a lot of scenarios, and you know, obviously, I would avoid this trade until, you know, there was a catalyst or some type of confirmation telling you, you know, whether you should, you know, buy or sell. Because right now it's kind of up in the air. Even though I do think it'll come down, it's you know, if you do enter a sell right now and it does push up before it comes down, you'd be stuck in some drawdown. And, you know, I'd rather just wait for, you know, extra confirmation before entering this trade. Let's see, James said, oh yeah, hey James, have you sent me your TradingView username yet? I'm gonna unmute you right now, James. If you're still there, sorry, I didn't know that you were in such a. Oh, I think you signed off already. James, let's see, I'm gonna go down the list. All right, James, I'm gonna message you real quick on. Oh, never mind. Okay, you said Saturday. All right, got it. Yeah, James, if you're still in here, yeah, we definitely meet up on the weekend. On Saturday, just let me know, and then I can help you set up your indicators. Yeah, it's not too difficult. I just need to give you your access, and then you can go ahead and start using the K2 indicators. But yeah, okay. So Razik, did you see this? Did you see this this analysis here? So pretty much like what I was saying earlier, I think it's going to consolidate unless it breaks above or below. So yeah, if it comes up, then it's probably going to reject off, you know, this resistance and come on down. Or if it breaks down below here, it'll probably come shooting down. We still have 12 minutes left in this candle, so, you know, at least give it some more time, and then you can make your decision from there. But like I said, there's a lot of heavy news right now. Razik, are you in this position already, or are you just thinking about it? Q&A real quick. All right, guys, we don't have any more Q&A questions, so I'm just gonna, you know, check out the charts real quick. The 6-hour candle is closing in about 11 minutes, so so I'll see if there's any valid entries. I mean, personally, I'm not going to take any trades, and I'm not going to call any, you know, official K2 signals because there's so much news coming out. But if you guys do want to take some trades, I could go ahead and give you guys some ideas. So we'll just go down the list real quick. Unless you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. Otherwise, I'm just going to go down the list, and if I see any trades, and if those trades interest you, then, you know, go ahead and take the trade. Let's see, Emmanuel said, hey, Shawn, just a quick question. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin USD? let's see. I don't even know if I have. Okay, right here. Bitcoin. So personally, I don't like trading Bitcoin because it's like straight manipulation. I mean, it's not manipulation. It's straight speculation, and there's not really. I mean, there's not enough data for you to really base things off. But let's see. So we do have. It's in this lower zone right here. So I'll just draw a zone right here. Draw a zone down here. Send this out. You have this. It's a pretty big zone. It looks like it has a sell. I mean, obviously it has a sell bias because we have a sell signal last. So, and it is below this zone right here. So what I think might happen is it might come down, test the support. But again, this is Bitcoin. Bitcoin, it doesn't really move as smooth as normal pairs. It kind of just bounces around. Depending on who has the most Bitcoin and who's selling and buying. Pretty much the whales control the market. Kind of similar to how other markets work too. Let's see. So we got another zone up here. Oops. We don't even need these zones because the K2SR is pretty fine. So it looks like it rejected up here, came down, rejection, rejection, came down, rejection, rejection, consolidated, dropped down right here. What might happen here is might come up, test this resistance, and then come down. Or it might just come down straight away. There's yeah, there's not really. I'm gonna go back over here and see how it looked because I don't know if these these zones are already here. Let's see. So those zones were actually there already. So if you had access to the K2SR indicator, it looks like Bitcoin actually respected these zones pretty well. So let's move it forward. Yeah, you can see right here we had this support established already, and it rejected right off it. And then it looks like price might have rejected off here or not. It looks like it rejected up here. This is why I don't like Bitcoin, because Bitcoin doesn't really respect same technical analysis as other pairs because it's all speculation. There's a lot of people that are just buying and selling randomly. They're not really basing anything off previous data because Bitcoin's only been around for so long. There's not enough historical data to base it off. So it looks like it sort of respected these zones. If I was analyzing this like I analyze other assets, like normal assets like indexes and currencies and stocks, then the way that I would see this moving is I would see this coming down and test this lower zone again, and then maybe shoot up from there. Because if it came down to test, it'd probably be like some sort of triple, quadruple bottom right here, because it obviously got stuck in this zone right here. It rejected off this zone, rejected again, and then if it comes back down, I'm anticipating it to reject again before shooting on up. But I mean, who knows? Any random news in the crypto space can affect Bitcoin heavily. Similar with this right here, like nobody. I don't know. There's a lot of people that said that they predict this, but I don't know how you could even predict that. If we go back to, let's see, like honestly, I don't understand like how someone could predict that. I mean, yeah, of course it would reject off here, but I wouldn't predict such a crazy big move. Similar to right here, like this candle. These are like speculative moves. I don't know how could you anticipate that price was going to break through all of these zones right here on this candle. Like, Aaron, do you know if anything happened on the 23rd for Bitcoin?
Nope.
Yeah, so So Emmanuel, back to your question, if I analyze this like a normal asset, then I would anticipate it to do something like this. But the thing with Bitcoin is that, it's like I said, it's pretty much straight speculation. Like these drops right here, I don't even know what caused these drops, because it seems like Bitcoin kind of just does whatever it wants. Whoever has the most Bitcoin, if they want to sell off all of their Bitcoin, obviously it's going to drop. If someone that has a lot of money wants to buy a ton of Bitcoin, they're going to shoot it on up. It's a pump and dump asset, and it's something that I don't personally trade. But if you are gonna, look at this, personally, I think this is what's gonna happen. But who knows? Something like this might happen right here, where it came down and then just shot on up. It's kind of like a coin toss. It's really gonna be, if you're lucky enough to be on the good side or the bad side. I don't think they have a Bitcoin sentiment. Let me check real quick if there is one. BTC USD. IG sentiment. Maybe they haven't a sentiment for it. I don't know. Let's see. All right, so there's a ton of people that are long, 83%. So, if price moves similar to, how normal assets move, then obviously, whoever has the most money, if it's a market maker or, I don't know who has the most Bitcoin, I would assume it's an institution or something like that. If there's 83% people longing, then they're not going to let Bitcoin go up. They're not going to make it be easy for everyone that's buying right now. What they're going to do is they're going to spike price down to stop these people out and take their money, because a lot of people that are trading Bitcoin don't really know what they're doing. Because I mean, how can you really know what you're doing if there's no data to base it off? There's not really any fundamentals for Bitcoin. It's kind of, if someone makes a huge statement about cryptocurrency, like, I don't know, like Elon Musk or something, if he says something about cryptocurrency, obviously he's going to push price. But yeah, it just doesn't really make sense, because you can see here, there's 83% of people are long, but then price has been coming down. So there's a bunch of people that are anticipating price to shoot on upwards, but institutions and market makers aren't going to make it that easy. Trading is not as easy as people may think, where they can just buy Bitcoin and expect it to go up. The institutions are probably going to shut this down right here. How many pips is that? Or that's about, Aaron, is this 3,000 points in Bitcoin, or is this 300 points? Or I don't even know how it works.
Like 300 points. Hey, but the calculations with Bitcoin is kind of tricky, bro. I don't even know the calculations for that.
Yeah, it is tricky. So like there's so many buyers right now. 83% of people are buying Bitcoin, and the thing is, a lot of those people don't know what they're doing. So, what's happening is, people might, the institutions might just shoot it down like it did right here. Like this is a random drop right here. If anyone, this is the problem with Bitcoin, because a lot of people think that once they see it push up, people get hyped up. Like this is where the hype happens. It's moving sideways, and then people are hyped up, and they're just buying Bitcoin right here, because they see it shoot up, and everyone's talking about Bitcoin. Like, oh, Bitcoin's going up. Bitcoin hit 8,000. Oh my God, buy Bitcoin. And then look, price shoots up to about 9,000, and then the institutions and market makers dump it, and then they take everyone's money that has your stop loss right here, or people that get margin called out for the most part. And then what happens after that? They shoot it back up, and then everyone's talking about Bitcoin again. They're like, oh my God, it went from 8,000 to 9,000. Oh yeah, it's gonna hit 10,000, guys, 10,000. And then what happens? They shoot it right back down. It's a little game. And that's like one reason why I don't trade Bitcoin, because it's highly manipulative. So yeah, there goes my analysis for Bitcoin. I think it's going to keep coming down. But I wouldn't fall for this. If you guys are ever trading Bitcoin and you see it shoot up like that, don't buy it. Like, don't be one of those people that buys it and then loses all their money the next day, because that's exactly what happens here. You can see that every time there's a breakout, it's all trade psychology. It breaks out, and then like you'll never really know where it goes. Like right here, it shot up. They had the FOMO right here. Some people thought it was going to come down or go up, and it ended up shooting up. And then people thought it was going to go up again, went up, and then what happened? It comes shooting down. So yeah, there goes my analysis for Bitcoin. I mean, it's not a great analysis because I don't trade Bitcoin, but this will give you a decent framework where I think price is going to go within the next couple days. Let's see. So CT is asking, how do you set up alerts for the K2TS that trigger trading view? Yeah, hey, let's see, CT. So pretty much what I do is I hit alert up here, and then I go to condition. I change the asset to K2TS, and then I'll change this where it says K2 buy signal to K2 signal fired. So in this situation, I would get a signal, whether it's a buy or a sell. And then generally what I like to do is I like to set my, my option to once per bar close. And this is so I only get valid signals. You know, depending on which strategy you're using, if you want a head start, then yeah, you can use once per bar. But I'm sure you're aware, you know, just by looking at the chart, that you know these candles disappear until they actually close. So you know, I would hate to have this set up right here, and you're on a lower time frame, and it just keeps giving you signals, you know, every time a new candle appears and then disappears. So what I do is I leave it to once per bar close, so that I only get an alert once it closes and it's intact, so it's not going to disappear. That way, you know, I have a better understanding as to, you know, if that's a confirmed momentum swing or not. And then you can go down here and set your, you know, your message alert, depending on what type of message you want. So if you want, you know, like BTC USD K2 alert, you can do that. And then you just click create, and then it'll create the alert for you. And it's pretty simple. That's about it. Let's see. Looks like there's a, yeah, no problem, CT. There's no other questions in the Q&A. It's only 6 o'clock, so you know I still have some time. If you guys have any other questions, oh cool. What's up, Josh? It's like Josh has a question. Yeah, I haven't seen Josh in a while.
Yeah, for real.
Let's see, Josh, you want to talk or do you want to? Let's see. Will we be holding trades? Personally, I won't be holding trades over the weekend. If you guys want to, you know, feel free. But I just don't like holding trades over the weekend because of the gapping that happens. So EA, yeah, I'm looking at EA right now. That's what I just pulled up. So for EA right here, I mean, yeah, personally, I wouldn't hold this over the weekend because EA tends to have like a crazy wide spread over the weekend. So, you know, I'm expecting spread to be like close to 20 pips over the weekend, you know, when there's no, obviously, when there's no volatility in the market. And the thing is, you know, depending on how far your stop loss is, I don't know if you're adjusting your stop loss closer, but if you remove your stop loss and price ends up gapping like 100 pips, it's going to be 100 pips plus the spread. So you know it's going to be way past the stop loss point, or you know way past the profit. I mean, it's really up to you whether you want to take that risk or not. But especially for these pairs, you know, the minor pairs, or you know the minor crosses, those pairs have a way higher spread than major pairs. So, you know, depending on your lot size, if your lot size isn't that big and you don't mind, you know, risking that trade, you know, over the weekend, then go ahead and hang on to it. Otherwise, once it moves in profit, personally, I would probably just move your stop loss with it and, you know, trail it as it comes down. Yeah, exactly. I would probably just take profit ASAP because, I mean, you've seen how the market's been moving for the past 2 weeks. You like, I don't even know what's going to happen by tomorrow, because there's so if I pull up the news, we have GBP news in about a couple hours. So 5 hours. 5 hours from now, there's a high impact GBP news, and then at 4:30 a.m. tomorrow, there's a high impact European news. So this is for sure gonna affect EA. You know, whether it's good or bad, it's gonna affect it. So personally, if it goes in a profit, you know, within the next, which it probably is, it's already pushing down. So if it does move into profit, it will. It'll probably, you know, be a good idea for you to just move your stop loss with it, because you don't want to get caught in something where, you know, it'll spike up like crazy, like something that happened right here. Like I don't even know what caused this huge movement, but it looks like there was some crazy news. Oh, actually, it was high impact. So the unemployment rate I mean, this makes no sense. Like the unemployment rate came out, and the unemployment rate was super high, but the euro was strong. You know, they did the opposite of what people would think it would do. So that's why I wouldn't take a risk on trading news because it doesn't always move in the direction that you would expect it to. Again, like tomorrow, there's high impact news as well, so it might be a little bit risky to be holding on to this. So yeah, personally, I would just exit in profit if you get a chance. Let's see, we got Stanley here. Stanley wants to talk. So let's see. Let me enable. Hey Stanley, what's up? Can you hear me?
Oh damn, bro! I was just kidding.
Hey Stanley, how's it going, man?
I'm chilling. Was just balling up.
Yeah, what's up? You still got any positions open right now?
Yeah, I got all those positions open. 7 of them.
Man, I don't know what happened. Like, well, I knew what happened obviously because there was news, but like shot up like crazy. So we got, yeah, we have this position right here on CHF. I mean, yeah, we got that crazy spike in the morning, you know, the Euro news. Let me close this out.
I was wondering, you think like there's any chance that the Forex market is like never gonna get back to normal?
Probably not until COVID, gets COVID over, because whenever news comes out regarding COVID or unemployment, like you already know what the data is going to be. The data is not going to be good, so that gives opportunity for like institutions and market makers.
Yeah. You think after it though it'll be good?
It probably will be good, but not for a while, because everyone is every country is going through some type of economic depression. So the news isn't going to be good for a while. And even if it is good, it's still going to give market makers and institutions the opportunity to manipulate price, because once the market does get good, people already know that it's going to be good news. And even though it's good news, that doesn't necessarily correlate to that country's price in their pair to move in that specific direction. It was kind of similar to what I was talking about with EA over here. Like with EA, back this up. EA, there was a crazy bullish movement right here. But the thing is, when this bullish movement started from this candle right here, if you look at the news that was released, it was for the unemployment data. And you can see that, the previous unemployment data was 7.3 and the actual unemployment was 4. So it went up. You'd expect the euro to be weak, but, it did the complete opposite. So, there's no real way to really predict which way price is really going to move, because regardless as to whatever type of data comes out, price is still going to move in whatever direction the market makers and institutions want to move it. So I guess that goes to answer your question for the most part. I don't really know if price is ever going to go back, or if the market can go back to normal anytime soon. Let me see what else. We got a couple other questions here, so I'm going to skip over real quick. Tian's asking, using K2 Strat for pairs higher time frame, like 1 hour, 4 hour. Hey Tian, is that a question, or you just, I erased it. Let's see. So Tiano's asking for K2 Strat for pairs, higher time frame, like 1 hour, 4 hour indices.
I was gonna ask you something like that. Like, you don't have to answer my question, but I was gonna say, like, have you like back tested the old strategy, like the 30-minute and 1 hour? Is that one not working anymore?
No, it's still working. The only problem with that is that you're not going to find it trending. So you see the trend meter below. It's going to be hard for you to find it where it's like a stable trend, but it's still. So if you, yeah. So you can see down here, it's blue most of the time, it's gonna be hard for you to find something that's actually trending, because the way that the market's moving right now, it's just moving back and forth. It's going up and down, and then it's just, it's pretty much doing whatever it wants to do. But it's not moving how it was moving before. So if I go back to, oh man, this thing's lagging right now. Let me see if I can scroll. All right, yeah. So if you go down over here, this was like early May 8th. You could have caught the original strategy right here. Like, the strategy still works. It's just the problem is it doesn't happen too often, because it's going to be hard for you to find, a strong overall trend. And obviously people are asking for signals, all day, and I can't go like days without posting a signal. So that's why I had to change the strategy up a little bit. But you can see right here, we did get a sell signal, and it matched with the trend meter up down here, and this would have been a straight win. So if I entered a short position right there using the original strategy, this would have been a win for 77 pips, which is, not bad at all. And then similar to right here, there's a couple other entries. This would have been a win too. This would have been a win too. This would have been a win too. But then, from the 7th and 8th, May 7th to 8th, there were no entries for like the next 2 weeks. And that's why we can't really use the strategy right now.
Last question.
Yeah.
When this shit goes back to normal, what strategy you think we're gonna be using?
I'll probably go back to the original, because the original worked perfectly fine. Like, you've been around from the start, so you've seen that. We were able to like get in and out of trades like pretty quick within like a couple hours, maybe a couple minutes. They go straight to. It's not compared to how we're trading right now, where we have to hold on to these trades for, the whole day, maybe a couple days. So yeah, once the market goes back to normal, or like once it comes back a little bit, where you can find some nice strong trends, then I'm probably gonna go back to the original strategy. Personally, I'm still applying the original strategy, but it's just I can't rely on that when I'm sending out signals and stuff like that.
Hey, Shawn, US30 dropped.
Oh yeah, all right, let me
A
check.
little bit, yeah. Was retracing now, shit, but
I see it. All right, cool. Let's see. Tion, I'm gonna go back to your question. Yeah, so I think your question was if I use. I think that was your question. I think your question was whether I use the higher time frames for pairs and then indices for 10-minute. Like I was just talking to Stanley about, our original strategy is the intraday strategy. So the intraday strategy is generally applied on the 30-minute. This is the original K2 strategy. If you've seen the videos, I'm sure you've looked at the videos, right? So if you've watched the videos, the strategy that we normally apply is the 30-minute intraday strategy and the pullback strategy, which are both applied on the 30-minute. The only reason that we're trading on the 4-hour now is because there's a lot of noise on the shorter time frames, and as you can see, our results have reflected that the strategy works, and that's why we stick with those time frames. But you can still apply. If you go through the videos and you watch everything that's been explained with regard to our strategies, most of our strategies are actually based on the shorter time frames. The 4-hour zone trading strategy was only released about a couple of weeks ago, and that's that's just how things have come. Like, we've had to evolve the strategy due to the current market conditions, because obviously if you're applying the original strategy, like you can see here, like I just explained with Stanley, this would have been a valid entry right here, because you're just matching sells with sells, and then this would be a valid sell entry, similar to right here. But if you go ahead and move the chart on closer to today's date, you can see the chart is blue for the most part, and when it's blue, that doesn't give you any valid entries, even though there's there's nice entries here. You could have taken these buys, could have taken these sells. They just don't fit the requirements for the original strategy. But you can still use the original strategy on the higher time frames too. It's just finding an overall trend is going to be difficult, and that's why we use the higher time frames at this point in time. But yeah, for indices and other indexes, I generally trade on the shorter time frame, because if you look at here, I'll go to US 30. So if you're looking at US 30 or any other index and you try to trade this on a high time frame, um, unless you have a really big account, you're not going to be able to survive this drawdown. Because if you're looking on the 4-hour charts, each candle is going to move. Let's see. So if you wanted to enter this trade right here, and then you put your stop loss at the previous swing, you're going to have to be able to withstand an 8,000 pip, stop loss. And majority of people can't handle this movement because, US 30 pips cost a lot more than, normal Forex pairs. And that's why, we trade on the shorter time frames because, we're trying to catch the smaller movements within, those momentum swings in the market. Because if you're trying to trade, obviously on these, it does work. Like, don't get me wrong, it does work. You can see here that, every signal at least moves in its direction, enough to make a decent amount of profit. But if your account's not large enough to, withstand any of this drawdown, or, I mean, there wasn't even any drawdown here. There was a little bit of drawdown right here. But, if you're applying the strategy properly and you're putting your stop loss at the previous swing, unless you have like a $100,000 account, you're not going to be able to, withstand this drawdown. So that's why we recommend trading on the shorter time frame. And also the reason why we trade on the short time frame is because the strategy is based on momentum. And the thing with momentum is that you're only going to be trading during the New York Stock Exchange open time. You're not going to want to trade during this time where market's just choppy. The only reason we're in this trade is because we took this trade earlier this morning, and it hasn't hit full TP. Although I do see it coming down further. So yeah, that's pretty much my basic explanation, as to which timeframes we use for certain pairs and different assets. Let's see, there's someone, is an anonymous attendee, he's asking if any signals to come today. Like I was discussing earlier, there's heavy news all day today, so there's not really, a reason to take that extra risk, because there's news, tentative JPY news, from now until Japan market close. I don't think it's been released yet. Yeah, it looks like it came out at 6 p.m. So the news just came out for JPY. Next up, we have news again at 11 p.m. GBP, and this is going to affect the market heavily. And this is why we're not going to be sending any signals, during this time, because if you get caught in a trade and then you're not able to get out before the news hits, I mean that's a big risk to take, because we are in Asia session and price isn't going to move very much during that time. So for the most part, there's not going to be any signals coming out today. Probably not tomorrow either, because obviously we're already at the end of the week. But if you guys did take the trades from this week, we're in profit right now. We're in profit. Let's see. See if I get the totals up here. Yeah, so we're in profit about this isn't even including today. So we have a couple more TPs that hit today. But overall, if you did take all the trades this week, we had about, oh man, this number's right. Aaron, you know what's the total? 1, 2, 3,
You said what?
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So this week we already sent out 15 signals, not including today's signals or yesterday's. So if you took the trades from this week, you'd be in profit. I'm not sure if this number's somewhere around there. Over 200 pips. So, I mean, overall, that's a great week, if you ask me. So we might be done for the week. I don't know if there's any signals coming out. There might be. Aaron's going to be taking over for London session, but the problem is there's European news at 4:30 a.m. So there's probably not going to be any more signals called. There might be tomorrow morning, but again, there probably won't be, because the market's going to be closing within a short period of time after that. Let's see. So we got one more question from John. Oh, John finally made it. All right, cool. So let's see, John. What's the average length of time you recommend holding a currency pair during a trade? Generally, I like to hold currency pairs no longer than 24 hours. However, you know, if market's not really moving, like how it's been moving for our EA trade over here, we've been holding this for about 3 days. I generally don't like to hold the trade for that long, but you know, we don't really have control of how the market. So currently, EA we've been holding for about 3 days. Let me see. So we entered this trade on the 19th at 6 a.m. So yeah, about 3 days now. You know, this is a little too long for my liking. So personally, I probably would have exited this once it, you know, comes down in profit. Maybe once it hits TP1. But generally, since our trades are intraday, I don't really like to hold them more than 24 hours. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, Josh, the dummy. Yeah, man, this pair is annoying because it gave us so many scares. Like literally right here, we had news on the 19th, came up, corrected back down. I thought I was gonna hit TP1. It was so close. Came back up, rejected off the resistance, and then here we go again. We stuck with some consolidation until probably until London. Let's see. So Amaret wants us to check out OddJPY. Let me check it out for you. All right, cool. So OddJPY. Aaron, didn't we have OddJPY earlier? Hit CP, right?
People hit TP1.
Yeah. So, well, I took it off my chart. So I think we had TP2, Aaron, because I wouldn't have deleted it. But yeah, anyways, so OddJPY looks like it's just in consolidation right now. There's a buy bias because we have a buy. We have a buy signal, you know, signaling momentum upwards. But let me open the. Yeah, there's no other zones that are, you know, above. Let me check on the higher time frame. Maybe there's some resistance that's been established. I don't really see anything. Nothing on the 8 hour. Let's check on the daily. Yeah, so the next resistance is actually really far. So it might keep pushing up further. So I'm just gonna draw this right here. And then we'll go back on the 4 hour. Yeah, so resistance is nowhere to be found. Let's see how far is it from there. It's like 100 pips, so it gives it a lot of cushion. I think, actually, I don't know yet because it looks like it's flattening out. So the problem with this is that it's in a consolidation phase right here. So what might happen once it breaks out of this consolidation is it might correct upwards to test the resistance on the daily. This would be the daily resistance. So this is going to be a strong resistance point. Or what might happen is it might break below, test this support, and then head on up. Because it looks like it's establishing a a pretty strong uptrend. So we had a low right here, a high right here, higher low right here, higher, possibly a higher high. I don't know. It kind of lines up with the double top right here, but I guess technically it'd be a higher high, higher low, higher high. It might come down, create a higher low before it goes ahead and shoots on upwards. Or it might just keep shooting. This might be the low right here, and then it might shoot on upwards from there because there is a low right here. But I'm not sure if this would be established as a very strong low. It just really depends on how market's going to move once it breaks out of this consolidation zone. But yeah, there was just the JPY news that just came out, but it looks like nothing happened. Let me see if there is any details on that news. So for the JPY news, there weren't even any notes for it. So yeah, it looks like it didn't even affect the market. So I was thinking that, that'd probably affect the JPY, but looks like it didn't. So personally, I wouldn't take this trade. It's the same analysis I think I gave you earlier, where I thought it was going to come down possibly to test this support, but it looks like it didn't even come down at all. It came down and then it rejected and came back up. So I'd probably wait for, price to break below. If it breaks below, then yeah, it'll come down. You can probably take a scalp going down and then catch it and then rise back up. Or if it closes above, you can go ahead and ride it on up to the next zone, which would be the daily resistance. But I mean, it's 60 pips away, so gives you a decent amount of cushion. So yeah, there goes my analysis for AJ. We go to the next question. Samir wants us to check out your USD sell signal. So let's check that out real quick. We were analyzing that earlier, I think. Yeah, so this is exactly what I lined up earlier. Samir, I don't know if you're here, but I was telling Felix, I don't know if Felix is still here. Yeah, Felix was asking about this earlier. And then I drew this where I thought price was going to come on downwards. This sell signal wasn't there yet, so I had no idea that that was going to appear. But now that it has appeared, it does look like you can take a sell down to the zone over here. I would call it, but it's just a little too risky with the news coming up. And we're getting close to the end of the week, so I don't think it's really a good risk for us to take. I mean, but you could take it. It'd be a nice 30 pip move down here if you ride it to the next zone. But I mean, the main concern for me is that I would like to put my stop loss at the previous swing, which would be up here. So actually, this is not a bad trade at all. Aaron, what do you think? Think we should take this EU? You're probably gonna say no because there's news, and it's actual European news. Yeah, this is kind of what I see happening here. I see price coming down the. Oops. Okay. All right, well, I keep moving this arrow, but I mean, you get the gist of it. I expect it to come down and probably test, this little zoned area right here. Samir said, my only concern was that the signal seemed to have a little bearish momentum. Yeah, and that's why I would since it does have that bearish momentum, I do anticipate it to come on down. What I might see happening here is since this was a low, obviously, it's in some sort of uptrend right here. So this would be the low, this would be the high. If it comes down right here, it'll probably establish a higher low, and then obviously continue on up to continue the trend upwards. But also another problem here that I kind of just noticed. There's a strong rejection point right here too. So this might even push even farther. I mean, this might even be a reversal. If this is considered a double top, I mean, it's not a nice double top, but it still looks like a pretty decent one. It might even shoot further down. Like, who knows? Like we've been analyzing the chart for the past 2 weeks. Price hasn't really respected trends or the zone as it normally would. So I think it would just really depend on what happens after this candle. Let me see if I can. Man, I can't move this thing. Okay. So if you want to enter this trade, I probably would enter it with a sell stop right there, and you could probably scalp it for a cool 30 pips. But yeah, it's still very risky because there's GBP news at 11, which is probably going to affect the Euro USD, obviously. So we do have high impact GBP news in about 4.5 hours. And then we have Euro news at 4:30 is for sure going to affect it. So, I mean, I don't know. If you anticipate it to drop 30 pips, I probably don't. Because if you look at the previous candles here, it's barely been any movement. I mean, this candle moved a lot. I don't know what happened with this. but I don't know if it's enough to like really push it down within the next, the next 4 hours. The next 4 hours is pretty much this candle, and then we're in Asia session, so it's gonna move. It's gonna move pretty slow. But personally, yeah, I would probably focus on a sell if you're thinking about taking this trade. Although it's, it does have a strong bearish. A strong bullish overall trend. But let me check the IG sentiment real quick. Because if there's more, okay, if there's more, what's wrong one? Yeah, so the 67% of the people are short. So it might push down a little bit, maybe not to that full point. Because like I said, there's news at 11. So what might happen here is they might man, it's right here. All right, let me, so what happened is that price might consolidate within, this little zoned area. It might even get close to this area. And then what might happen is, since there's so many sellers in the market, 67%, what the market makers and institutions might do is once it hits the GBP news, it gives them an opportunity to manipulate the market. Then what they're probably going to do is they're probably going to spike price. Since there's a lot of sellers, they might spike price up here, like how they've been doing this entire week. They spike in the opposite direction, and then it would correct back down. So the problem with this is if you enter this trade, you might get screwed because if this happens, you'll be an automatic drawdown, and then you're going to have to hold this trade over the weekend because, obviously, if you're in this deep of a drawdown, you're probably not going to be able to get out of this trade within X amount of time. Personally, I would probably just avoid it. But if you do scalp it, I'd probably just hang on to it for like a few pips. I wouldn't hold on to it for too long, because the longer you hold on to this, the more risk you take on, especially if you want to hold this over the weekend. I could definitely anticipate like some gaps over the weekend because with the news coming for your USD at 430, if this happens to spike price in a certain direction, it's going to have to fill the gap or it's going to have to correct. So in that situation, you might get screwed and the price might be somewhere like deep in the negative, and then you're not going to want to close it because obviously you're so deep in the negative already. Or it might hit TP, like who knows. But yeah, there goes my my analysis for EU. So Josh, I got you. let's get to NU real quick. I looked at it earlier, so I think I still have it marked up, but let's see if we could check it out again. Yeah, so what I was anticipating, actually, yeah, it played out just like I thought right here. So when I was analyzing this earlier today, it wasn't that long ago. It was like when the webinar first started. This candle was actually in the zone right here, and I was anticipating price to come down below the zone and close bearish in order for it to, confirm the bearish momentum as it would come back down further. The only problem with this is that price is too close to this next support level right here. So it's only, it's not, we've got 3 hours left in this candle, so you'd still have to wait for this candle to close, bearish. And, with that much time left on the clock, it's probably going to close somewhere around this area because obviously it's not going to just stay there. It's probably going to push down a little further, like somewhere right here. And the thing is, if you're going to measure this from the next zone, it's only like 15 pips away. So this doesn't give you very much cushion for you to, move your stop loss and profit, depending on your broker, because even my spread, I have tight spreads, but at that 2.6, this is a commission account on Forex.com. And what might happen is it might come down, and then as it does come down, as we anticipate, it's probably going to reject off the support. And, if that happens, you might get screwed because you're not going to be able to move your stop loss and profit, depending if, you're awake at that time when it comes down, it hits, hits this certain area. Because as we've noticed during London session, price tends to reject. It's been rejecting for the past 2 weeks. So this is probably what I see happening here. Even though I see it coming down a little bit, I do see it rejecting at some point. and you definitely don't want to get stuck in this trade, you know, over the weekend. So, I mean, yeah, this is pretty much my analysis of NU. I do think it has a sell bias because we do have a sell signal indicating that momentum is going to be swinging downwards. And as you can see, you know, the sell signals, if they didn't land in the support, they usually respect it pretty nicely. So right here, it respected the support, reject it off. That's kind of what I see happening right here. We did have a sell signal. It's probably going to come down, reject off the support, and then head on up. Similar to what happened right here. You know, price came down, tested the support, and then shot on up. So that's probably what I see happening for NZD/USD until, you know, we have a buy signal. And then even if we did have a buy signal, price would have to close up here for us to be confirmed whether, you know, it's a good entry or not. Yeah, so I think drink some water real quick before you get out of breath. All right, guys. Yeah, so I think that's all the questions for now. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. Otherwise, we'll see what else we have open right now. I think we've analyzed every pair. Market's just moving way too slow tonight, so there's not really much to take. And there's a lot of news coming up, so I don't really see anything happening, you know, from now until 11 p.m. and 11 p.m. because that's when the GBP news comes out. There's not really much that happens, you know, during Asia anyways. This is usually our time to, you know, plan out trades to enter, to prep for, you know, the big breakouts that happen during London session. But there's GBP news at 11, so I wouldn't even risk it. Because the thing is, if you get stuck in a trade right now and there's no movement, you know, once the news comes, it's either going to be a really good thing for you or a really bad thing for you. So that's probably, like, you know, the main reason why I wouldn't really I wouldn't really enter anything at this point in time. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions, I mean, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. Otherwise, we might just call this you know, this webinar a little early tonight. We did start earlier today too. Yeah, Aaron, do you have anything to go over? I don't know if there's anything else.
Not really. It's not really so many setups I see.
Yeah, I'll go through the pairs again one more time, just to, you know, see if there's anything that we can actually look at. But we did look at every pair. I mean, about like 4 times today. And there's like nothing that was there, and that's why, you know, I don't really see a reason for us to really keep looking, because if we keep looking, we're gonna end up forcing a trade, because, you know, obviously everyone wants to get into something.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and the thing is, if I keep looking at pairs and I keep analyzing stuff for you, it's going to give people ideas, and that's not what I want to do right now, because I don't want people to enter trades, you know, just because they want to enter a trade. You definitely should only enter trades when you have some sort of edge in the market. This is the AJ I was just talking about for Amrit. I think Amrit's still here. Yeah, Amrit. So if you're still looking at AJ, like I said, you know, if this closes below, especially with the sell signal, you can take this trade and ride it to the next zone right here. So let's see how much space is from here. Yeah, and it's a nice little move. It's about 35, 36 pips. So if it closes below this zone, you can enter this trade right here and, you know, be a nice profit, whether you're scalping it or, you know, catching the whole 30 pip move. But yeah, if this happens right here, I definitely see it dropping even further, because this would fulfill, you know, the requirements for the K2 zone strategy. So there goes a, you know, a nice sell for AJ if you guys are looking for an entry. Look at our AN right now. Looks like our AN is, I mean, it's doing the same things it's been doing for the past 3 days. It's just been bouncing around. I know a lot of people already got out of this trade. We did hit TP1 over here. So if you're still in this trade, I think it's coming down. But with all the news coming up, as it moves into profit, I do highly recommend that you move your stop loss to break even or in profit, so you guys can, you know, get out with at least some profit. You know, instead of risking holding this over the weekend, and, you know, I'm sure it's going to gap around. Actually, it is going to gap around because Monday is a U.S. holiday. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, it's Memorial Day. So it definitely expect some unusual movement to happen, you know, over the weekend. AU, we went over AU earlier. Nothing there really. We're pretty much should be waiting for this to close below, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. CAD CHF. This is a position that we don't have active. I do have it lined up. I was going to call it, but there was news this morning, and that's why I didn't call this. But it looks like it's coming back down. Personally, I probably wouldn't take it just because, you know, with the news coming up. CAD JPY. Yeah, it looks like it's just going to consolidate in the zone right here until, you know, it breaks on upwards. So if you guys are still in this trade, I still think it's a good buy, even though it's come down and we do have a sell signal. The reason for that is because, you know, it's been testing this support and it hasn't had any luck breaking it. And, you know, if it's tested it this many times and it hasn't broken out yet, you know, odds are it could probably reject right off, depending on, you know, what happens during Asia session. But yeah, it doesn't really look like anything's really happening with this. We'll go to CHF JPY. Nothing there. This is the trade we had earlier. It's like one of our stop loss that hit. EA. Like I said, EA has been annoying just like AN. We're all trying to get out of this trade before, you know, the weekend comes. So if you are in this trade, I would definitely recommend you exiting this trade once it reaches profit, or at least move your stop loss in profit. Your CAD, I didn't call this one. I do have it pending. So this was something that I was going to call, but there was news at 6 a.m. this morning, and that's why I didn't call it. It was a high impact US dollar news, but it is rejecting off the support, so it's probably going to shoot on up and then, you know, continue on upwards. Your CHF, yeah, nothing there. I think someone asked about this, but it doesn't really look like there's any entry. What might happen is it might come up and trigger this late entry right here, and then it could probably go up further. Your GBP. We've been looking at this all week. We didn't take this out because it's in such a strong uptrend. So it looks like it might even continue on upwards, if not, you know, reverse down to test the support. To EJ. This is our EJ trade right here. It's rejecting off the support right here. You can see it's double wick down there. So I'm anticipating it to, you know, shoot up in profit. Like I said with the other positions, you know, move your stop loss in profit when you have a chance, and that'll definitely, you know, help you out so you can reduce your stress over the weekend. EN, nothing there. It's stuck in the zone. EU, this is the trade that I lined up earlier for Felix. It does look decent if you're trying to take that sell, but there is a lot of news coming up. I'd probably avoid it. GA, it's way down here. There's no support, so I think that's why we were avoiding it. You know, this thing could literally reverse at any time. GC, we do have this trade open. Oh, actually, I don't know if we have this trade. We might have this trade open. I'm not sure. But if we do, it looks like, you know, this was what we talked about earlier. There was high impact news that caused, you know, prices spike upwards, and then it started coming back down. So I'd probably have to just, you know, hang tight for that one. GC. So this GC trade, I don't know if you guys have it. I think I might have given it in the group, but I didn't call it. But it is in profit. If you did take it, it's in profit about about 31 pips, so it's not bad. GJ, looks like GJ is coming back down. So if you guys have that, similar to what I said with EJ, you know, move your stop loss and profit when you get a chance. GN, right here, what I analyzed was that price rejected off the support right here. It was followed by a buy signal. So I'm expecting this to shoot on upwards. GU, it's stuck in this consolidation phase, wouldn't enter. NZD CAD, stuck in that zone, wouldn't enter that. NZD CHF, this is the trade that we had on the 19th, I think. Yeah, the 19th. So what happened here was it came down, but we removed our stop loss for the swap spread. So not everyone got stopped out of this trade. Whoever, you know, removed their stop loss and they're now in profit. It actually hit TP1 today for 20 pips. But it looks like it's going to keep pushing on up. We did have a buy signal right here, followed by a buy candle. So it's probably going to keep on shooting up. Hopefully hit TP1, full TP actually, if you guys are still in this trade. NZD/JPY, it's stuck in this little bubble over here. We do have a sell signal. If it closes below this support zone, or yeah, this would be a support, I guess, for this, then I expect it to come on down and test the next level. NU, the same one we discussed earlier, it does have a sell bias, so I'm anticipating it to come down, test the support, probably shoot on up to correct to the overall trend. Last one is, actually we have a couple more. So UCAD right here. Like I said, it's just similar to the other active positions. If this bullish candle does close above this resistance, then I do anticipate it to push on upwards and test this next zone over here. So it's probably going to push up. This gives you about a 33 pip leeway right here for you to make your move and probably exit before it reaches the next resistance point. Personally, I wouldn't be taking this trade just due to the news, so it's up to your guys' discretion whether you want to take that trade or not. Another one right here, you see, looks like this would be a valid entry over here if we were to take this trade, on time. But we didn't call it. I know I didn't mark it up, but we didn't call it. I think me and Aaron talked about it, but I don't think we expected it to really come up that much. Right now, it's currently probably around 10 pips in profit. Yeah, exactly. It's about 10 pips in profit right now, which is not too bad, but UC moves like way too slow. So it's a little bit of a risky trade. Oh yeah, we didn't take that trade because of the US news this morning, I remember. And then lastly, here's UJ. UJ does have a sell bias. This would be a valid sell entry. The only problem is that it's right at support. So I wouldn't take it because it might reject like it did right here. So it came down, rejected off the support, and then it shot on upwards. It's probably the same thing that could happen right here as well. Price might come down, test the support, reject heavily, and shoot on upwards. But yeah, guys, I think that's about it. Let me go over US 30 real quick to see. Okay, nice. So if you guys are still in US 30, it's dropping really nice. Looks like it's about to hit full TP for 2,000 pips. So that's looking great, guys. So I think that's about it, guys. I have no other questions. I have nothing else to cover. I went over every pair. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to drop it in the Telegram, and then I can answer you guys there. Otherwise, just a reminder, I have this every Tuesday and Thursday. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to have your questions lined up. If you have any topics you want me to cover, anything like that. Otherwise, it was a great live trading room. There wasn't really too much to look at, but we did cover a lot of stuff today. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out. And this will be live on YouTube within the next few minutes. All right, guys, I'll talk to you guys later.